if you have a back door, it's easier to not commit fully to the plan, to the adventure, because like you always know, I don't have to try so hard because if things go bad, I can just take that step back and I've got a back door.
Exactly.
And I just, get out of here.
That's what we want to do here. We want to take you to the next level. We want you to achieve your goals.
All right, coming to you live from FXV Digital Design in beautiful Wyomissing, Pennsylvania. This is Fred Talk. Visit us online at fxvdigital.com and your favorite social networks at FXV Digital. Please make sure you like, subscribe, and hit that notification button. I am your host, Freddie Vasquez, and with me is my producer and cuter half, Angie Wicks. And today, our guest from the beautiful SpeedPro Innovations, kicking ass, taking names, making you all look great right here in Reading, Pennsylvania, is Lauren Ziegler. Lauren, thank you for joining us today.
Hello, it's great to be here.
Right on, man. So I appreciate you coming in and hanging out with us and doing our thing and all those crazy things we like to do here at FXV Digital. I'm very happy that you came in because you've actually helped us in the past already. Our beautiful little sign on our wall, let's create something awesome today, is phenomenal.
I still want to do something on this wall.
I don't know what to put on that wall, man.
I got ideas.
What would you put on that wall?
Everything. Honest. Okay, no. It sounds dumb. But what I think would be really cool would be to do some sort of like interactive timeline. So document your entire journey, not only as a person, but as a business, because the two are intertwined. And then put one of those handy dandy chips behind it and like go to a video or something, social media from that era, to show how in the digital marketing game you've evolved and you are getting better with time. That's what I'd do.
Sounds like a cool idea.
Yeah.
I mean, why not? So
Pictures. Have little blurbs from stuff you've written and created. Document how your brand has evolved, how you came to it.
It's very hard for me to like talk about that stuff.
Yeah, that's one of the downsides of doing anything marketing wise, is that it's really a struggle to do marketing stuff for yourself.
Yeah.
I know this too. That's why you're here and you're helping me. It's wonderful.
But not even that part, as much as like, hi, I'm Fred and look what I did. Like, look at all these things. I'm just like, yeah,
But that's the beauty of it. Everyone loves show and tell,
I get. Look, we got Lucas. That's good enough.
Yeah. Okay. True.
Lucas
I can't argue with it. The dog, it seals the deal every time.
So, for people that don't know you, let's give them a quick rundown. Who's Lauren? What's she doing nowadays? What's her deal? Like your 30-second commercial, but not so lame as a 30-second commercial.
Man, putting on the pressure. Well, I own and operate SpeedPro Innovations. Right now, we are a full-time team of like 4.5. There's 3 of us actually working a shop. The half is my 2.5-year-old daughter. So she's around a lot of the time. She comes to the office. She knows it. She loves it as much as a 2-year-old can, and often is underfoot. And then number 4 is my mother, who is an absolute saint. She drives all the way from Hershey and helps us out watching the kid. Sometimes she'll jump on and help us on the production table if there's something that needs an extra pair of hands. Literally, shout out to you, Mom. You're kind of the best. So that is the non-work side. On the work side, there's me, captain of the good ship SpeedPro, directing us to where we need to go. Meredith, my sister, she is currently doing a lot of our social media marketing, but she's also our designer. She helps out with projects. I'm going way over 30 seconds. And then finally, there is Marissa, who is our brand new production manager. She is absolutely killing it as far as making the machine employees behave and print money, except we don't actually print money. Please don't ask me to do that. It's illegal. But we do print signs and banners and yard signs. So that I can help with.
Yes. So that was awesome. I didn't know your mom helps.
Yep. She's
never met your
a
mom.
saint.
I only met Meredith.
I could have sworn you met
I met Meredith. I know I've met the other people that have since, I think they moved on. Mm-hmm. You said Marissa's the new employee. I saw her in the video.
Yep.
That's it, though. I've only really hung out with you and Meredith. Never met
Well-
your mom, or I mean, I met Willow, obviously. But
You'll have to
obviously.
come back. My mom will probably try to hide in the conference room and
Oh.
keep Willow under control while you're
Does she
there.
bake?
My mom, yes, but it's not her favorite. So she's an awesome cook. She makes these lemon bars. Oh, I'm salivating just thinking about it. But they're to die for. But she would much rather go and find some in the middle of nowhere shop that specializes in the delicious baked goods and purchase from those kind of small businesses. But she's a wizard in the kitchen.
We need a good bakery here. Like, I mean, you know where I come from, we had Colombian bakeries.
Oof.
And they just had, and look, I could give two shits about sweets. I'm all about bread. I'm a very big
Yes.
carby guy. And there was like loaves and loaves of bread at this place. I'm still waiting to find one here in Reading.
Go for a good sourdough anything. Like one of those real authentic sourdoughs. Not the ones that are overly sour with the flavoring. You can tell I'm hungry.
I'm starving, but I'm always
I'm a
hungry.
carnivore. I love carbs. They're my favorite. I could eat them for every single meal.
Yes.
Does not matter what form. Just put it in front of me, please.
So I love everything that you guys do. You guys created some killer technology a few months ago, or Jesus, COVID. You know, COVID's just the worst because like it's March. We're looking at 1 year here of this bullshit, right? And I feel like we have to like cut that out. Like, okay, COVID series, just toss it. So that's why, because for me, when COVID started, it was just everything stopped. Because like literally, it was I met you in November. We hung out and like talked shop and stuff. And then it was like what, January, February, we're making videos, and then boom, just like fuck, you know, like whatever happened, and just was the worst. So anyway, that's why I just go, hey, a few months ago, which was really like over a year ago. Yeah, you guys do killer art and stuff like that, and you know, basically all your life you've been exposed to art through like education. Do you know from like a young age your profession would have to do with being creative? You know, like was that like always like a thing with you, or you just like fell into this, or you know, what's your deal?
I fell in. So from a very young age, I was very sure I wanted to be a vet. I love animals. The dog can vouch for me. But then I found out that sometimes you have to, you know, put the animals to sleep. I couldn't handle that. I've got too much of a soft heart. I wouldn't have been able to handle that kind of stress. And I probably wouldn't have been able to handle animals in any kind of distress for any amount of time, when the humane choice would be maybe to put them down instead of extend life because of medication. Now, that's a touchy topic. I'm not going to touch it again. Then, gosh, I feels like every 2 weeks I wanted to be something new. So I went through a phase where I
feel
was
that.
dead sure I wanted to be a pilot. I researched all the classes. It was expensive. I started to save money. And then 2 weeks later, I was dead sure I wanted to narrate audiobooks. Did all my research, bought a little bit of equipment, you know, started reaching out to people. And then 2 weeks later, I was dead sure that it wasn't going to be that. I was going to do something else. And my family can attest that once it gets in my brain, it is lodged in there so hard what I want to do that I can't stop moving towards it and thinking about it. But nothing really stuck. So out of college, I've assembled things, everything from circuit boards to engines. And then I was the art director at the Aspen Family Center over in Sydney, Ohio. And then finally I got hired on as a production manager for our shop and then through a series of events, I was able to take over. And now I'm my own boss, and I'm probably never going to be an employee to someone else again. I really like the exciting, you know, every day being new part of business ownerhood. Yeah, it's pretty good.
Well, that's the number one thing, right? Like once we get a taste of like the good life, quote unquote.
It's so bad, that entrepreneurial spirit. Once it bites you, it's like,
That's
yeah,
it, dude.
I can't go back, man.
Yeah, no, you're into it. I mean, I was my own boss for a long time, and I actually strayed and got hired by a client, and that sucked. And I went back and I was like, man, it's not even just like being your own boss. It's like being in control of your destiny.
Yeah.
You know, like there's somebody out there that can say, like in my case, she was just like, hey, thanks for your years of service. We don't need you anymore. See ya. Like literally, I woke up one morning and none of my emails were working. I couldn't log into the server. I'm like, oh, I'm getting fired today. I told Jill, my wife, just like that. I was like, I'm getting fired today. She's like, what are you talking about? I'm like, I can't access anything. And sure enough, that call came and whatever, who cares? That was awesome. But it was just the whole thing. Like that day, I said to myself, I'll never let somebody else like dictate my future.
Yeah.
Ain't happened. So I feel you, man. Like I could never work for anybody else. Like those days are over. Even if this whole thing crashed and burned, I'd figure out something else.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's no way I'm going to do that shit. So yeah, I'm with you on that. But I'm interested because, so you got this direction job at SpeedPro, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you're doing your thing. Now, how long were you doing that for before you decided to become the boss or had the opportunity to be the boss?
I was going to say decided. Yeah. So the studio opened in 2013. I was hired on as the original production manager. So there hasn't been a day in SpeedPro located in Reading history that I haven't been a part of it. I unboxed the printers and I set them up however I could until the techs got through and put things together for realsies. I put together our office furniture. I've vacuumed. Anything and everything in that studio relating to SpeedPro has my grubby hands all over it. Except they're not grubby. I did just wash them. So I've been there since the beginning, and just over time, I took on more responsibility, which if you want to go into the saga of SpeedPro, I can let you know, but it's a doozy of a story. And I bossed it up on March 1st, 2019. So we just had our second birthday. I made Meredith, Marissa, and myself, we all sang happy birthday. It was really off key, but a lot of fun. We gestured wildly to the building itself instead of saying a name. It was great. I'm a little weird. I'm sorry.
That's so sweet. And also, I like how witty you are. You can keep up with me, and that makes me feel good. Because usually I'm the witty one, so it's nice to have a dynamic duo here today.
It is wonderful. I feel like I have been talking a lot, and I haven't heard anything from you. So
I'm so focused back here on like doing switches and
This
watching
is like,
all the lives.
This is day one of our new getup, our new setup. So like she's never
new
done.
machines.
This is brand new.
Yeah,
I
I
love
got
new
all
machines.
all new equipment back here. So
Shiny buttons.
Yeah, I'm very, very busy. With
I was
my
thinking about that.
fingers.
I was like, so I got her working a lot now behind. I call it the ones and twos, even though it's like not one, it's like ones and fives. And I'm like, I don't think she's gonna be able to participate because I got her thinking like hardcore now.
It's nice. You
Pushing
got
buttons.
a legit looking station there.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. And like I really do want to participate. It's just like I really can't because my brain is focusing so hard on this that like I'm not listening to the conversation, unfortunately, because this is just a lot.
Well, that's all right. Like we said, we're going out for tacos later. We can shoot the shit. It'll be
Yeah.
great.
Plus,
Very much.
Ange she made these great documents for me to keep me in check. So
You're not supposed to mention the documents.
I know I'm not supposed to mention documents, but I want everybody to know that she does a lot of hard work and she researches and she makes me look good. Because all I knew about Lauren before today was her name was Lauren. That was it.
It's true.
And now I already know that she's done all these great things, which is why I'm so interested in talking about them. So, all right, we got a lot of entrepreneurs watching, small business owners.
Mm-hmm. More power to
So,
'em.
right on. So, what happened? Like, I want to know, like, okay, so you're here from the beginning, which I love because I actually opened the Borders books when I was younger.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and I know, like, the feeling of, like, this is your store.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because we opened it in Syosset. I met some of my best friends in Syosset that couple years I was there. I still talk to them. They're still some of my coolest friends. But there's that camaraderie and that feeling of, like, wow, like you were saying, you took the printers out of the boxes, you can set them yourself. Like, you touched everything in that place.
Mm-hmm.
So that amount of time passes and you have a chance to take over this place. Why was that even, an opportunity for you to even have, and why did you say, yeah, screw it, I'll do it?
I didn't leave myself another choice, and that's not a bad thing. I think when it comes to entrepreneurship, If you have a back door, it's easier to not commit fully to the plan, to the adventure, because like you always know, I don't have to try so hard because if things go bad, I can just take that step back and I've got a back door.
Exactly.
And I just get out of here. But over my time as production manager, I'd taken on more and more and more responsibility, and I'm not going to say it was fun to take on responsibility unexpectedly, but it was thrilling. It was adventure. It was, if I had to sum up all of the things that I ever wanted to be, every single one of them was adventurous, carving that new path, going to worlds untold, whether it was narrating audiobooks or driving planes or being a vet and, I don't know, discovering the cure for dog diabetes, whatever. Every single one of the things that I've ever wanted to do has had that edge of adventure to it. So once, again, not fun. And, if you think about all the good books and movies, the adventure is never fun for the protagonist. It's hard, but it's so satisfying. And so that's what ultimately did it. I didn't leave myself a back door. So it was like, well, I guess I better pull up my business panties and get it done.
Well, that's the best part, man. A lot of people just don't understand how much work goes into all this. Like, oh, I'm going to be the boss and it's going to be this great thing. It's going to be so easy and and they have no idea what they're getting themselves into. And to hear you say how like, yeah, it was hard. Yeah, there's times when it sucked. But it's like, is it satisfying? Hell yeah. There's
Feels
nothing
good.
I'd rather be doing.
Like the highs are real high and the lows are real low, and they're all yours. That's the beauty of it. You've charted this new adventure. You've got. I'm gonna lean on this whole ship metaphor a lot, so
I like it.
Be prepared.
It's cool, man.
But it's like I built the ship. I worked on the ship, and I'm captain of the ship, and it's so exciting to be able to peer into the foggy horizon and see like where might there be opportunities, untapped markets, like what are other people missing that maybe I can shed light on, and it's just I wouldn't trade it for anything.
I'm with you, man. I'm the same way. I think it's super fun, it's super hard, it's super stressful, but I love every second of it.
Yep.
I'll never stop doing it, man, which sounds crazy, but whatever. So you had a chance to take this place over, and you did. And now you're 2 years in. Mm-hmm. And technically, 1 year in, everything's going well. You're like getting used to being the boss, and
yep.
And trying these new things. We spoke, and we had a great meeting at Nitro Bar. That was great night. That was awesome.
That was fun.
It was a great night. And then COVID hits.
Dun, dun, dun.
And now you're sitting there going, great, I did all this awesome work and this bullshit happens. So tell me, like, how did you even remotely, like, handle what was going on? And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe COVID hit and it was the best thing that ever happened to you. Or maybe COVID hit and it was the worst thing that happened to you. And if it's okay if it was the best thing that happened to you, because you're not the only one. Mm-hmm. There's definitely people. So tell me, what happened to SpeedPro? What happened to you when COVID hit?
Well, first thing is just I am never going to forget that stomach lurch when we got the news that Pennsylvania was getting shut down. I mean, you talk about your great tragedies, and everyone pretty much remembers where they were for 9/11, and like similarly, man, I remember where I was when I got the news that we're shutting down. This virus is real. It was scary and big, and it wasn't just country big, it was globally big. You hear the term unprecedented times thrown about a lot, but that's truly what happened. There's a global crisis, and I don't think that's ever happened before. So that's how it started. You start with that stomach lurch. Then the next thing that went through my mind was I knew that immediately if things were shut down, I couldn't afford to keep anybody. And I had a gut feeling that there was going to be a lot of problem with people filing for unemployment. So I made the call that I knew I wasn't going to be able to support my existing crew, and that I needed to let them go and do everything in my power to get them signed up for unemployment as fast as possible, so they could get ahead of that line and get some help where I knew that I wasn't going to be able to have the business to provide. So that was awful. I think that was probably worse than hearing that the state was going to be shut down, was having to tell Steph, Craig, and Zach that they didn't have a job anymore. And it's just kills you in your heart because they're family. They were there for the first year. My baby steps as a business owner. Like, oh, that hurt. But then after that, maybe 2 or 3 weeks in, we got the word that we were considered a necessary business. We had the opportunity to provide COVID signs. So the decals that you see around for 6 feet apart, social distancing, as well as the acrylic protection fields. That's all stuff that we can and have done. But still, that trickle of COVID business wasn't enough that I could be like, hey, just kidding, guys, you can come back. I mean, that's what I really wished would have happened. Right. But it didn't. So I spent a couple months. It was me and my sister. She pretty much did everything that I didn't have time to do. So she handled a lot of customer emails and phone calls when we had them, and I was in charge of trying to make orders come through and be fulfilled. We had issues getting materials in. A lot of wide format graphic materials are manufactured overseas. So there were great pauses and great delays, and it was like the middle of summer when the entire country ran out of step stakes for lawn signs. And this is when everybody wanted to, since they couldn't go to a graduation to celebrate, they wanted to put graduation yard signs or happy birthday yard signs or we're retiring yard signs, like something out there to celebrate the event, to show their community and loved ones that they couldn't be in contact with what was going on, to celebrate those like milestones. And the entire country ran out of step stakes. I mean, usually these things are pretty inexpensive. It's like I got one box that was 10 times the amount that I normally pay for yard sign stakes. Jesus. And like we just kind of had to well,
how'd you handle that, man? Like, what'd you do, like being that you had to pay 10 times the amount?
Well, I did what I could to keep costs reasonable, but a lot of that unfortunately fell on the customers. Like I can't just eat that cost. That's not good business ownership, and it doesn't do my community any good if I give them a yard sign for less than it cost me to produce, and then I go under the next day. Like that doesn't help anybody. So I worked where I could. We got some plastic sign holders. They're definitely not as sturdy. They're meant for, you ever have your lawn done and you have that little plastic thing with the tag that says like, so-and-so was here to take care of this beautiful lawn. So we kind of used those and we shoved them up in the flutes of the Coro. So it was crazy time. Inventions were necessary. But we got through it and business started picking back up. I was really tired being mother of a 2-year-old and COVID business. Those are exhausting individually, and together I was fried. So we hit the point where it became necessary for me to hire on an assistant. So we hired on Marissa, and she's been with us ever since. And other than that, we haven't had the opportunity to hire, but we are finally growing. We're finally getting healthier again. I know that some other of our sister SpeedPro studios have done very well with COVID, but that's not my story. So The struggle is real.
So you did okay.
I did okay.
You did okay. But during all that, and even though it happened a little bit before, I don't want to say COVID, was the reason why, but you have these really cool, ideas.
I am an idea person.
Yeah, you're definitely an idea person. You love giving away ideas. And one of the cool ideas you had was NFC tags.
Yeah.
And NFC tags that you put into, I've seen you put them in wood, in plastic, behind my awesome sign there. If you haven't seen that, come to the office and check it out. So much so that you created this whole amazing part of your business that your franchise, or whatever you call it, how should I put it without being disrespectful? You know where I'm going with it.
I do. So yeah, Infolinks was my idea. But I knew that to get at the attention that it really needed to be successful, and that means a massive campaign for information and use cases, and a really significant effort to try and get people to understand the value of having these tags in their prints and turn them into really useful user experiences. That was going to have to be a national effort. Within the franchise, the way it works is you get a whole bunch of really awesome benefits from your franchise. They do a lot of the market research for you. They have, for my franchise anyway, they do quite a lot of marketing content and SEO work, and they do a lot of work behind the scenes to make us a nationally recognized brand. Within that contract, though, I can't go all maverick and be completely a unique unicorn while also getting all of those benefits. So it made the most sense for me to have the idea and sell it to the home office, where they took it over and they really went into the above and beyond the research that I was able to do, as well as coordinate use cases, and they did some PR stuff with it. We actually won a platinum award for it.
I did see that.
Yeah, I'm so proud of myself. So it's my brain baby right here in Reading, Pennsylvania, but it's out of my control. And by myself, it would have been a much longer road to get it to market than using the franchise. And
Sure.
so while I don't have the control over it, that would be most awesome. Yeah, I'm pretty satisfied with the way things turned out. It's still a really great idea. It's still a product that I sell. I'm hoping to make this interactive nature wall mural for the Wildlands Conservancy up in Emmaus.
Ooh, that sounds fun.
So they have this, their education center is separate from their visitors center area. So in the visitors center, they used to have a lot of taxidermied animals. I'm not sure if they're still there, but I would really, really like it if I could do a wall mural that's designed to have all of the nature, natural critters, and kind of like a representation of their work in conservation, and have tags behind all those that gives more information.
Right on.
So like the ones on kids level, you might tap on the field mouse and see one burrowing a hole, or tap on the fox and hear what a fox actually does say. To date myself a little with a very catchy but terrible song. Anyway, but then on the higher level, have those resources so people can understand the value of, taking out a dam. What does that really mean? What does that mean for the community around the dam? What does that mean for the ecology? What can people expect for their floodplain insurance, once the dam is gone? Like, what are the actual changes represented by these larger projects? So I would love to have some sort of informational wall mural for like that. Similarly, I've got ideas for hospitals and chiropractors, which you are responsible for the chiropractor ideas.
Yes.
So own it. And
I'm just a guy that was lucky enough to talk to you about this technology. For you guys out there that don't know, if you've been to my office, or whatever the case is, it's NFC tag. It's a little tag. It's a little circle, and what you do is you take your phone and you tap it, and it actually opens up a multitude of things you can do on there. The one I love the most, that it opens up websites. And for me, when you tap on my sign right here in the office, you go to my website. And we've used it around a chiropractic office. Shout out to Core Health. Used it in a bar. Shout out to Pub in Pottstown. And Santander Arena. David Ferrari let us go in there and do some crazy stuff in there too. So we recorded all these great videos, and it showed how, like, you can literally use it to bring up a map if you want to find ice cream in the arena, or if you want a brochure, instead of taking one home, or if you're the office and you want to pay for that price point anymore for printing brochures, your patients can just tap and they see it. Core Health still use it to this day. They actually, when people walk into the exam office and they want to do exercises, they tap on the wall. And it opens up their YouTube videos, and you can actually go through the ones you want to use.
That's so
killer.
That's so cool.
I didn't know that. Thanks for sharing. That's really exciting.
No, it's still there to definitely use it. The technology is, of course, advancing all the time. So soon enough, every phone will just be doing it automatically. Which is great. But yeah, man, I mean, it's a very cool technology. And I thought it was awesome when we sat down. Again, Nitro Bar. We sat there and you were like, I got this cool idea and I got this thing going on. I was like, that sounds cool. And I remember I wanted to be the first one to have it.
You were the first one to have it.
And I was like, put it on my freaking wall, man. I want it there. And it was cool. I mean, it's still cool. I still love it. But that's one of the great things about, what you got going on is every time I go in to see you, even though I'm just picking up like ornaments for the awesome toy drive, thank you very much for getting that done in like 24 hours or something like that.
That was
like
an
a day or 2 days.
But it was fun to be a part of.
It was so cool to get those ornaments and start branding, the toy drive, which I love. But every time I go in there, it's like, oh, look, we're doing this, and oh, look, we're doing that. And one of the cool things I think I just saw you do was a video on frosted glass. Like, if you could explain that a little bit more, that'd be cool. And don't worry about it. Like, you can talk about it because Ange is a whiz. She'll probably, I'll give her some video. Like, she'll edit in like the NFC technology video while we're talking and stuff. So feel free to just talk about it. We'll throw it in there. But so the frosted glass thing looked cool as shit.
Yep.
So talk to me about that.
All right. So frosted vinyls, they're an older print technology. Well, I'm going to say old, but I honestly, I don't know when they started. Anyway, basically the idea is you take these films, you can apply it to glass, and it's going to give that look as if it was sandglassed or had a special finishing to it. Above and beyond that, these can be contour cut, which means cutting shapes out so you get only frosted, looking a certain way, or I can print on them. So you can have that frosted look while also having your branded colors, while also having a message to your employees, while having that, using that space while creating privacy, but also allowing light to happen. So that's one of the fun things about what I do is, taking products like the frosted vinyl and just making them do really cool things. Early on, this was probably 2014, we were just getting into using frosted vinyl, printing on it and contour cutting it. So I have this sliding glass thing in my office. You've seen it, right? Mm-hmm. So I had it where if it was opened, it looked like this continuous pattern. I had clouds and this, kind of loopy shape cut out of it. But then when you closed it, the shapes overlapped, so you got the full picture. So that was one of my early experiments with the medium and what it can do and how it could interact with itself. But I haven't had much of an opportunity to really crack the old knuckles and do something truly innovative and spectacular with frosted vinyl in a little bit. I did work with the Reading Surgery Center to update their frosted glass. So they've got these beautiful privacy doors now. Their logo is cut out of the middle of it, so you have a little window to peek through to make sure you're not going to swing that door open and hit a patient or a nurse in the face, because that would be terrible. But it was nice to go in there and really give it that overhaul, that facelift, so that patients can feel more comfortable. The nurses and staff there get to work in an environment that really shows that they care, so that they're not hitting each other in the face, but they also get the privacy that HIPAA requires, as well as what everyone is comfortable with. So the uses are tremendous. The benefits are tremendous, and with the right application, you can create some really cool stuff. Yeah, and I love doing that kind of brainstorming.
Like, now that I'm thinking about it, with like the frosted glass and stuff, like imagine doing that with like shower doors and like putting like circles and squares on one that are like one color and then like squiggles on the other. It would look like an abstract painting or something if they layered. That would be so cool.
Well, we're getting into commercial interior design and architecture. I'm more than willing to experiment on people's homes if they let me. But you know, everybody has windows. Everybody has walls. You know, everybody has floors and ceilings and couches, and I can put ink on pretty much anything. And I am definitely eager for the opportunity to create beautiful, colorful, meaningful environments for people to be in, whether it's for relaxing and being in a place where you need to like calm down. So creating that kind of a vibe, or like really pumping it up to get that party mentality going, get that creative mindset in there to really get to that desired mental state faster and better. And anyway, that's what I really love doing. The end.
It sounds so cool. Like, I love that like all your ideas that you have. I'm very much of an idea person too, and I'm wondering, maybe like when you were younger, like in your adolescence, maybe my age, like when you get ideas, do you go for them right away, or do some of your ideas just kind of pop in your head and just kind of float away? Because that's what most of mine are doing right now.
It's a little bit of both. So I enjoy having ideas that I can act on right away. I've often told my clients and my staff that I'm kind of like an idea Gatling gun, and I can do like 10,000 ideas a minute, but not all of them are going to be good ones.
Right.
You know, but I enjoy going through the process and creating the ones that are good and actionable. But the ones that are very good but not actionable yet, you know, you kind of tuck them out. You kind of tuck them in there because those are great information and building blocks for a future project.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, you don't want to lose that work, and just because it's in a wait phase rather than an action phase, it doesn't make it less valid.
Right
That's
on.
very true.
So keep that enthusiasm. That's probably my biggest advice, is keep the enthusiasm, keep the love, and keep on adventuring, even if it is not all that pleasant all the time.
Yeah, man. Right on, right on. Again, you're listening to Fred Talk right here at FXV Digital Design in beautiful Wyomissing, Pennsylvania. Make sure you subscribe to all of our social networks at FXV Digital. Like, share, subscribe, hit the button, all those great things, all those beautiful things you do on the social networks. I really, really do appreciate it if you show us some love right here. And look out, FXVDigital.com. We're going to be selling some merch soon. Everybody keeps asking me, where do I get one of these cool cups? Where do I get a cool shirt? Where do I get, I don't know, whatever the hell else we have in this place, glasses and all kinds of great things. We're designing new merch right now, so we'll be launching our store very, very soon. So definitely stay tuned for that. So we did name this bad boy. Adversity is not always a bad thing for businesses.
It's not?
It's not. It's a great thing. I know adversity makes me it just makes me pivot. And I'm like, all right, well, if I can't do this anymore, I want to do that. And you obviously hit a bunch of adversity during COVID, it sounds like, but I want you to just, you know, tell me a story. Tell me like, you know, how did you mentally get through it? How did you maybe physically get through it? Or like, you know, even though it was a crappy time, I feel like it definitely made you stronger in probably so many ways that you probably didn't even know about, you know, of course. So like, you know, give us a little something, maybe give us some insight into like what you had to do to get through it that could actually might help some people that are still dealing with it right now.
Well, it all comes down to your actions. Like, what are you physically able to do today? Sometimes the best thing you can do is take a nap. You know, just let it rest, let it percolate, and that idea that solves the problem is going to come later. And sometimes it means you've got to hustle like you've never hustled to date in order to make something happen and make it happen well. So with that kind of wait and act, you know, appropriately mentality, that's really how I did it. I mean, did I make mistakes? Sure, everyone does. It's to be expected as a human being on this lovely planet that we're on. But it's really, it's choosing to be discerning so that the actions you take are efficient, they are appropriate, and they are to the appropriate degree. so that you're not wasting time and energy on anything that's going to ultimately drag you down. And that's a really fancy way of saying, I kind of made it up. And it seems to be working.
Right on, man. I know for me personally during COVID, I just started doing videos, talking to people every day to keep me sane. And the crazy thing was, I wish I wouldn't have stopped, because it just got to a point where, I mean, I'm not afraid to say it, I got depressed for a little bit there. I thought I was going to be strong the whole time. I was like, all right, we're going to get through this together. We're going to make these videos, and I'm going to talk to everybody online, and we're just going to keep, pushing along. And then I just stopped. I almost like ran out of gas, and just poof. Like I hit that, like, is this ever going to end? What the hell's going on? That feeling you were talking about before when it got shut down and your insides were just like crushed. I mean, I was standing here, and my man Dominic was here. And for us, it started when the NBA suspended their season. And when that got announced and then the PA thing happened, my phone started blowing up. It's like, hey, Fred, we love you. And it was just like, cancel. And it was just like, wow. But I wasn't mad. It was just like,
you can't be mad.
No, it was just like, shit.
Yeah.
You're like, well, what am I going to do? It's like the worst thing. It's like, whatever. And I was like, no, I'm going to be happy the whole time. I'm not going to be sad. I'm going to be happy the whole freaking time because I am man. Nothing affects me.
Oh,
that whole thing.
That's nice, dear.
Right. And then you keep going and you're just like, I just can't do it anymore. But that's what happened to me, is like I was bummed out for a couple of weeks. But then, yeah, you're right. You just like took a nap, and that's kind of like where I was at. I was like, you know what, dude? You just got to chill, man. Like you're going to have to just like lay down, sleep, or do nothing, or do something weird, or just whatever the case is. And for me, I just started watching woodworking videos. I think we spoke about that at one point. Yeah, I was doing woodwork and stuff, and I was like messing around with that. My whole basement was never used, and my wife was always like, we never used the basement, gutted it, found mold, like this little bit of mold, so it was like kind of a good thing. So we cleaned all that up, painted. Now there's a gym down there.
Sweet.
We got all kinds of weights and stuff down there. So like I was like, okay, we're gonna do that this time, and then just that's the kind of stuff that for me to deal with the adversity of COVID, I was learning new things. I learned how to do a bow tie.
That's awesome.
And something that small was like so like, that's cool, man. So that's why my business card has a picture of me with a bow tie on. I tied that all by myself.
And I see it on your business cards over there.
There it is. And
it's even the appropriate blue.
Yes, it is. Well, branding, right? Branding. That's my whole thing. Branding. Ding. It's here for you and me. So that was great. Was like that I was telling people, learn something, man. I learned a lot about myself during that time. I learned a lot about how people think and how people react, and all kinds of things. So yeah, man, adversity is a good thing. Adversity is a great thing, I think, for me, because I just had to figure out how to do my job in a different way and get people to still want me to do it. So pivoting was a big thing for me. Like even in your case, you didn't have the right stakes for all those signs, and then you had to pivot a little bit and use like plastic stakes instead. Not the best solution, but you had to do something. A lot of people that just sat around and just woe is me, I don't think things turned out really well. But then there was people out there that were like, well, I'm going to do this instead. I'm going to do that instead. And for them, a lot of them came out on top. Yeah. Just kicking some ass, taking names, good old, American ingenuity, and just trying to figure it out, know? So, I mean, I think it's cool that you're still here. I mean, I'm very grateful that you're still here, you're still rocking and rolling. Do you like, give credit to any one thing, or like, for you to like, yeah, COVID sucked, but like you're still rocking and rolling. You hired somebody. I mean, even that's kind of like, holy shit, you even hired a person. So is there any one thing or one event where it just like took you to like that turning point? You're like, all right, fuck this. We're doing it this way now. You know what I mean?
Well, do you mind if I take a quick pause here to talk about mental health and business?
Yes.
Well then. So I have the honor I'll say, of not only being dyslexic, but also chronic depression has been my old dark buddy in the corner there since as long as I can remember.
Aw, relatable.
And one of the things that I've really come to that's found a home in my heart, we'll say, is that talking about mental health and having that community to help you recognize when things are going downhill, when you may not be able to, that's not a bad thing. That's a strong thing. Like my antidepressants, they are my brain chemical prosthetics. There's nothing wrong with them. My body doesn't do the thing to help me do the things. So, I have to get all 21st century on it and get a prosthesis to help me function and do my job and enjoy the journey. In the midst of my stubbornness, one of the things that I've developed over time with my stubbornness is that, man, my low days are low. I mean, there are days when it's like something bad would happen. It would send me in a spiral, and it's like I would just sit on the floor and stare off into the middle distance, and I was pretty much catatonic. Like, that's how low I've gotten within the last 2 years. Like, I can clearly remember the last time it happened. Then you bring in the anxiety of wanting to do well, and what happens if it doesn't. The downside of not having a back door is that, man, the anxiety that can really kick in. But it's important to recognize what's going on mentally as a solvable problem. And for me, it's my prosthetic chemicals. I need them to function. Same if I had vision problems, I'd need prosthetic eyeballs, also known as glasses or contacts. People use prosthetics all the time, and it's fine. And there needs to be less of a stigma to make people go easier on themselves, that just because their body is not doing a thing that it's supposed to do, it doesn't mean that it's wrong or bad. It just means that you need a prosthetic. And we are truly blessed to be in a place and time where those are pretty much readily available. But let's work on making it culturally acceptable and something to cheer on. Like, hey, you were mentally strong enough to go to the doctor and fix that stuff? Yeah. That's awesome. That's ballsy.
Well, now that you opened up this can of worms, though, like, you have to talk about the program we were talking about earlier. With the study you were doing.
Yes.
You have to give me a little bit more info on that now. I'm so curious.
Okay. So, Aspen Family Center. It's still going strong. It is a family mental health and wellness place. I was the art director. I did programs with kids, trying to teach them life skills. I also did homework help, and they're the reason that I know that I'm dyslexic, is because they do a lot of work with dyslexic kids, helping them figure out it's better rules for how spelling works in the English language, using the Barton system. Anyone on the dyslexia teachery spectrum should check out like tutoring for dyslexia, because it works for everybody, and I think it should be standard. But the other thing that I did was I administered neurofeedback. So neurofeedback is a technology where you take electrodes, you plug them into people's brains, not directly. So you had front, you had the temples, you had whatever brain goop is here, and then you had them on the back of your head too. And I was in charge of putting those electrodes on and then running the program. What the program did is that those electrodes, I don't even know if I'm using the right word, but you know what I mean. They scanned brainwave functions. So one of the neat things with brains is that there's a chemical component and there's an electrical component. And it measured the electrical component to see where the brain was either working too hard or not enough to accomplish tasks.
Oh, wow.
So it could measure that. And the program, basically, you hook kids and adults up to this neurofeedback, and then you stick in a movie. And what happens is, as the movie is playing, it'll like stop and stutter when your brain waves are imbalanced. So you have a really awful movie watching experience, and that actually frustrates your brain so much that it will change its brain waves and stabilize it so that you can get the happy, I've experienced this movie and it hasn't been a struggle, instead of being frustrated by the constant stopping because your brain waves are not behaving. A great example of some of the stuff that this can do is that you can do things like target certain behavioral issues, like anxiety. That was a big one, where people with high anxiety, we targeted those brainwave patterns that indicate anxiety is being felt, so that the brain could practice bringing those down to normal in a non-anxiety setting. And then simple, it's called high beta, but if anyone has ever experienced that headache that happens right here, like after you've been working on something really hard and your head hurts, and it hurts like right here, and it feels like your brain is just really tired, that's high beta. And that's also not a good thing if there's too much of it. It's also a bad thing if there's too little. Moderation is key. But targeting those kinds of bad brainwave patterns really helped a lot of people to learn how to self-regulate their brain functions, but not in a cognitive way. It was something that you had to kind of bypass behavior and go to the brain's source to address and to change. So yeah, neurofeedback.
That's so interesting.
Check it out.
That's
Drug
so cool.
alternative.
Wow.
Can do cool things.
That's crazy.
I've seen people help it cure insomnia. Well, not cure, but make insomnia symptoms way less, and anxiety. And I'm just rambling now.
But that's so interesting. Like, who would have thought that, like, you could... Wait, are they the little white circle things that I'm thinking of that you stick on people's heads?
Yeah, they're about the size of a dime.
Yeah, like, those little things just read the energy waves and can tell you all this information if you know how to properly read it. That's just... It's just mind-boggling to me.
Cool.
I love biology, so, like, this is just, like, all up my alley. And mental health, I like talking about mental health, too. So, it's very interesting that, like... You got to be a part of that. And oh yeah, this is what I wanted to ask. You said that your kids actually helped you kind of figure out that you were dyslexic. So does that mean that you went through school not knowing?
No idea. I knew I couldn't spell. I was homeschooled until like 4th and a half grade. And while I was doing intake tests, I scored like 9th grade reading, it was 9th grade science, like college level reading, like cognition, but less than 1st grade spelling.
Oh wow.
So, but I wasn't ever diagnosed. And then working with my husband Nick in Aspen Family Center, working with dyslexic kids and that program, I was like, oh, that makes sense. Like, okay, that's something I can own. It's like for me, having a name for what was going on and why I was having a struggle was really valuable. Right. I know not everyone likes having a specific label, but for me, it was a really powerful moment to be like, I'm dyslexic. That's why I can't spell, but I can read all day. Like, this is good. I'm not as broken as I thought I was.
I didn't even know that, like, I thought that dyslexia was, like, having difficulty with reading and spelling. I didn't know it was, like, totally... like separate in a sense.
Well, it's like autism. It's the spectrum. Some people really struggled with both. Some people don't. You know, if the spectrum is this big, I'm kind of like, kind of here. Okay. But you know, it's enough that if I ever send a text and something is misspelled, it's not because I wasn't taking my time. It's because the spell checker didn't catch that one. So, like, a little bit of grace is needed here.
That's so good.
That's cool, man. I mean, that's definitely that whole testing thing is really cool.
Yeah.
I would love to see how my brain works.
It's a neat thing, and the kits to do it are actually fairly inexpensive. Wow, I say fairly inexpensive. The last time I checked, getting the setup was around $1,300.
Yeah, it's expensive.
But but then it's yours, and you can use it for as long as you like. So
yeah, maybe I don't want to know. That's a bit crazy. That's cool though that we can do that. It is a trip how you can just put electrodes on like your head.
That is what some people in some of the research did, but we won't go there.
Alrighty then. So, back to SpeedPro. Though you're absolutely right about the mental health issues during COVID. I thought that was something that nobody ever talked about. A lot of people didn't talk about that, man. It was all about like death and dying. Like, I'm not saying that's important, but nobody ever talked about the mental health issues that were happening.
Well, it's a complex problem with no easy answer.
Yeah.
Like, and it historically and culturally, it's kind of got a bad rap that you just don't talk about it. I guess I'm very vocally against it being a negative thing, and I want to live in a world where it's okay to be who you are in your body all the time and not have to worry about hiding your weirdness, hiding your quirks that make you you. Existing in a society where that's okay is, I think that's the dream,
And
ultimately.
it's crazy how like that's still an issue, mental health. Mm-hmm. But everything else is fine in a sense. Right? You know what I mean? Like, and I'm not putting anything down. Everybody's had their issues with things, but like, like, okay, mental health, let's just say like mental health, well, it's been a thing forever. I'm just, but like, you're right. Nobody ever talks about it. Never everybody brings it up. But like, let's just say like homosexuality, like, I mean, that's like, I'm trying to say like, it's a thing now, like it's accepted. I mean, I know there's people out there that suck, don't get me wrong, but I have like a bunch of family, and they're, they're LGBTQ and all that stuff. And I love all of them.
Alphabet
but like,
mafia.
But it's like, okay, like that's a thing now. And then you talk about like transgender and like, that's okay. And like all these things are okay. But yet still with all that happening, mental health is still like in the back a little bit.
Well, and one of the worst things, so I have been really, really lucky, and no one close to me has passed because of COVID or COVID-related issues. But man, my sister is an extrovert, and this quarantine thing is it's been so hard to watch her struggle, because she gets her energy, and it's what's emotionally and mentally fulfilling to her to be out and around, to be an extrovert, and oh, it's been hard. I just want to let her go out and party, but it's not safe, and it's been hard. And there's this whole slew of necessary behaviors that are so contrary to a lot of people's mental health right now, that are necessary for physical health. That it's just, there's no easy answer. Like, there's no right answer here. It's just all hard. And I think that's one of the reasons why people don't ever want to talk about mental health, is because there's a lot that ties into mental health as far as exterior factors that can affect it. I mean, you start talking about mental health and business, you also have to talk about family. You have to talk about relationships. You have to talk about local community as well as global community now via the internet. You have to talk about eating habits and sleeping habits. You have to talk about whether or not your social meter is being filled and what that looks like for you on the spectrum of introvert to extrovert. And finally, you have to talk about the fact that the brain is super duper complicated, and it's the only organ in your body that's ever named itself. And that's a little weird to think about, but the brain has named itself the brain, and we're still trying to figure out how it works. But our own brains are what's driving that research, and it's not easy. And if it was easy, we would have done it already.
Right.
Why did you say that about the brain naming itself? I'm not going to be able to drop that for the rest of my life now. I'm just going to think about that for the rest of my life.
A gift from me to you.
Oh, thank you.
So, Lauren, what's your brain telling you about SpeedPro? What's next? What are your goals? What are your dreams? What's new? Give me the lowdown. Give me the skinny.
In a word, adventure. I'm super pleased. We are partnering with Santander Arena. We're going to do some awesome things in there. Give the arena and the Royals some love, and get that up and open and ready to party once we're all allowed to finally party. So I'm excited about that. I've started bringing on a new product line. The SpeedPro headquarters have partnered with Samsung to do digital displays.
Ooh.
So that's your menus, lobby signs, anywhere you've seen a display. That's a new thing that we're doing. I'm excited. I really think that's part of the future of advertising and marketing is incorporating that into business environments. Infolinks, it's happening, it's here, and it's not changing, and it's going to get bigger over time. So I'm really looking forward to problem solving and getting those use cases done, and to really add that extra je ne sais quoi to everyday life. And at the end of the day, I'm just going to keep creating, keep building stuff, keep beating my hands up with chemicals and scratches and having ideas at my computer like a mad person. And yeah, I'm excited.
That's awesome, dude. I'm definitely looking forward to like everything you guys are doing and everything you're putting out. And I think you're definitely an asset to the community. And I think it's time to let the world know that you exist.
I'm here.
And I love that you're making videos, which is great. You're starting to do those things and show people what you can pull off. I loved Meredith's video from the arena.
She's so good at it.
Yeah.
She's entertaining to watch. This is why I put her in charge of that. Because for me, I'm like, haha, video, that's nice. And she's like, she's in it. That's her extrovertism coming out.
Yes.
Like, she is the life of the party. And it's been really cool to watch her figure that out on social media. So keep doing it, sister. You're awesome.
That's really awesome. Thank goodness. Somebody had to do it.
Somebody had to do it.
I remember our last conversation, our last meeting. I was like, so who's going to do it? Who's going to go out there and make some freaking videos?
It's not going to be me. I'm too busy having ideas.
Hey, you're too busy running the joint.
Yeah, it's like
That's
it's work or
part
something.
of it too. That and kids. That's exciting.
I do enjoy it. It's brainwashing to its core, but it's fun.
Oh, why don't you tell everybody how they can find you?
So, best way to find us is honestly online. Email us, give us a call. We're kind of in an out of the way place that's hard to just kind of like drop by unexpected. And honestly, people dropping by happens so infrequently that you'll probably surprise us a little bit. But we're still happy to see you if you find us. We are at the cross section of 222 and 61. There's a little shopping center right there. And then we're behind that. And then it's not that building. We're behind that one. So we are way back, all the way behind that shopping center. You have to drive around the daycare, past Penske, past the storage units to find us.
I can vouch for that.
But we are very active online, very responsive to phone calls and emails. We are talking about commercial interior design. We are redoing our studio. There'll be a grand unveiling.
Ooh.
Part 1 has already happened. We have redone the lizard tank. So he is living fine and mighty in his custom printed wall mural setup.
Oh my god, that's amazing.
There's a video on YouTube if you want to see it.
Yes.
He's a grumpy old man lizard, so he's not exactly as thrilled as the rest of us, but it looks really cool.
I can relate.
But we are redoing our entire front office area to be colorful and really show what we can do at our location, in the hopes that people will actually stop by and come see us, and hopefully make more awesome things and get that color out there in the world.
Right on, man. Right on. Well, Lauren, thanks for coming in, man. I appreciate it.
It's been fun.
It's always a good conversation.
I appreciate that.
I like it. I learn something new every time. Talking to everybody that comes in here.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. I just like to have a conversation. I always told people, like, I wanted to talk to the people where we live, like, that make great things or do awesome things. Like, this is the place to do it. And I'm very glad you came in here today and gave us some insight into SpeedPro and your past life and the awesomeness that you've produced, like playing with people's brains and all those great things. So thank you so much again for coming in today, and can't wait for our next conversation.
Me too. I'm also hungry. Let's go get tacos.
All right, we're going to go get tacos.
Yes.
The three of us. You guys are out. Sorry. But if you want tacos, you know where to go, because I've said it a million times, so don't ask me where you should be going. But thank you for checking us out right here on Fred Talk, live from FXV Digital Design in beautiful Wyoming, Pennsylvania. Thank you to Lauren for coming in. Thank you for Angie for handling all the back end stuff. It takes a lot of work to do all that crazy stuff. And I see her walking back and forth, pressing buttons. But she was killing it because at one point she's talking. I see her fingers just doing the moving. And she's not even looking.
So fucking difficult, but it's gonna keep getting better and better every week, baby.
Yeah, baby, there you go. That's what I'm talking about. Thank you guys for joining us right here on Fred Talk. Visit us online at FXVDigital.com. You know your Uncle Freddie loves you, and we're out. Peace.
Peace.
Bye.